Hi guys, welcome back to another video in this tutorial series, Solidity from beginner to intermediate. And we're gonna be following up on the last video where we talked about the MSG object. We're gonna talk about the TX object now. So these are two of the most used and important objects in Solidity. So this is a small smart contract that I wrote just to demonstrate, how this object is used. All right, so you can see that it compiles, no errors, and let's use the injected provider, which would be our MetaMask wallet. That's on the Girly network. Okay, all right, so let's deploy that contract. Let's give that a few seconds. Okay, here we go. And here's our little interface for this contract. All right, so first things first, let's talk about the TX origin. So the TX origin, it is going to return an address, and it is the address of the wallet that calls this function. Now, the difference with TX origin and MSG sender is that the TX origin is always going to give you the wallet that initiated the chain of transactions, as opposed to the MSG sender that is going to give you the address of the last transaction, and that address can belong to either another smart contract or the wallet. All right, so the difference. So with the TX origin, there's more specificity. Specificity. I'm sorry about that. Get tongue tied, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? It's more specific. So if I let's see. Okay, so this one I'm gonna send some ETH. I have one ETH in this wallet. All right, so once I send this, what is going to happen is it's going to emit an event, right? And that event is going to store um, two variables, right? The address and the contract balance. So, and the contract balance will also update right here. So they, Remix made that easy for us so we can see what's in the contract. Now the event, it's gonna get encoded, so you're not necessarily gonna see the exact address, but just take my word for it. It's in there, stored on the blockchain, right? But later on in the series, well, not in this series, but in the more advanced series, we'll talk about how to decode that information. But for now, you just got to take my word for it. So go ahead and confirm that. So just wait for a second for that transaction to get mined. And there we go. All right, so let's look at it on Etherscan. Just gotta wait for a second. All right, so you see that one ETH went in from my address to the contract address, right? And if we look at the contract, we see two transactions. The first one is when it was created. The second one is this transaction. And you see that the value in that transaction is 1 ETH. This is the transaction fee. Oh, sorry. So if I click on events, you're going to see the event here in this section. So there's one event on the contract, ETH sent. So you see the name of the event, ETH sent. So it shows up right here. Now in this data is you're going to see more detail, as you'll see the address and the exact amount, but that's beyond the scope of this tutorial. But Just trust me, it's in there. All right. So that's TX origin. So next we're gonna look at let's see. I can also click get origin right here. That function is just gonna show my address right there. All right. There's also get TX gas price, which is just gonna show you the cost of this particular transaction for this function. Right. So if I click get gas price, it's gonna show zero because it's just reading. There's no actual transaction, but that just that's just to demonstrate. Um, let's see here. Okay, so this one is important to talk about. So there's a function called gas left. A few Solidity versions back, you would get this on the. Actually, my memory is failing. I don't remember if it was the MSG object or the TX object. I think it was a TX. Yeah, you would be able to see the gas that's left on the TX object, but that has been deprecated. But it's important to know about it, so I included it in this one. But this is um, a global function, right? And this will just tell you how much gas is left in this transaction after this transaction runs. How much gas is left? So let's take a look at that. This is called gas left. Let's see. So it just shows that number. That's the amount of gas that is left. Um, yeah, so that's basically it. It's simple, straightforward. There's not a lot to it. Um, you see, it showing the contract balance 1 ETH, contract balance 1 ETH in way, so that you have one with the 18 zeros followed, and yeah, that's it. I think I covered everything, right? The TX input data. Well, this is actually MSG, but it just shows the data that is carried in the transaction. Um, More on that later. That's beyond the scope of this tutorial. But all right, so to end this tutorial, I am gonna go and get my ETH back from this contract because remember this 1 ETH. So let's get that back. So I'll click withdraw. And by the way, uh, this is a good time to illustrate this point. So if you look at this withdraw function, right, you see that it's taking the contract balance, putting it in the amount variable, right, setting the contract balance back to zero. But if you notice where it says payable TX origin transfer amount, right, this is not code I want you to try to use in a production environment because basically what this is saying is that anyone can withdraw the balance that is in this contract, right? So you wouldn't want to do this at all. That means any address can just come along and just take all the ETH. All right. So in a production environment, you're gonna want to have more security, more checks. You're gonna want to make sure that it is only one specific address that can do the withdrawal or a set of addresses. Unless you want to give all your money away, that's different. But just be mindful of that. Like that was a good a good time to just bring that up. Um, Still beyond the scope of this tutorial series because that's more about security, but just understand that you have to be very careful, right? Because we're dealing with a, a real asset here that has, financial value. So anyway, let me do this withdraw, get my test ETH back. All right, that's it. All right, guys, thanks for checking out the video. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.